welcome again. And again, thank you so much for taking the time to join me today. We're talking about the G4 Cube. Now, I just did the upgrades on it as I sit here now yesterday and worked with it a great deal last night and through today. And it's fun. I mean, I am enjoying this computer greatly. The upgrades took very well. The SSD is behaving very well. The RAM is fine. The random startup issues, shutdown issues, really, are not a problem at all anymore. So that's all good. Firewire, that is an issue. I think I'll get this one out of the way. Can you use it today? Well, yeah. As long as you don't want to get in the internet. You can get on the internet. It is just so very, very, very slow. Email is fine. Once 10.4Bird loads, it's fine. We'll see that. But as far as what you do with your machine locally, the basic programs, they all work very, very well. Well, yeah, I think I've talked enough about it right now. We should go, it's back there as you can see, running Tiger right now. We should go have a closer look at how this machine is behaving now. So, do stay tuned. All right, this is about as good as we're going to do with the camera. I angled my keyboard over a little bit so I can get to it. Getting to the mouse is a bit challenging. Nonetheless, here we are in the Tiger desktop on the Cube. Go to About This Mac. Yep, 450 megahertz PowerPC G4, which is the Cube. Limited to 1.5 gig of RAM. All right, now the one thing about this, where it is a little more powerful than, say, the Sawtooth, or maybe the Gigabit Ethernet, is this ATI Radeon 7500. You'll remember, if you looked at the upgrade video, it's clearly an upgraded video card. Now, 32 megabytes of RAM is, VRAM is hardly a huge total by today's terms, but it is decidedly better than the 16 megabytes that those early G4s generally shipped with. All right, so we're done with that. All right, we can get the internet out of the way. I did put the PPC App Store on there. Getting apps is going to be one of the big reasons why you would need to go on the internet. But let's just see what happens. We'll open up 10.4 Fox. And believe me, I do not mean to be bashing 10.4 Fox. I am very grateful that it exists and that it is still updated today. God bless Cameron Kaiser and everybody who works on this. All right. But on this underpowered machine, it is very slow. All right, YouTube is a lost cause. We know that. We've established that. I tried in the Sawtooth to go to CNN. We saw what a disaster that was. But what might you do? Earlier today, I was just reading some Mac forums, getting ideas about things. So what's a site that we often would go to? Mac Rumors. It is going to load. I promise you, it really is going to load. Now, this looks good. It wasn't that long, and hey, there's the page. But if I try to start scrolling, it just doesn't want to scroll. It's still loading. It's loading a whole bunch of things. And now we're beach balling. You can see up there, yeah, it's still loading. There, in modern websites, there's just so much that loads in the background. And that's the way the sites are. Okay, it's not beach balling anymore, but yeah, I start to try to scroll again, same thing's going to happen. You could sit here forever waiting, looking at that X, which shows the page is still loading, and seeing it turn. All right. Various advertisements, scripts that this poor old machine has difficulty dealing with. So we can go back to the top here. Now, I won't scroll at all. Okay, there we got there. All right. Now, one thing you can do, if it will react to it, and it does react slowly, is just to try to stop it from loading. And there, that worked. Can we scroll now? Nope. Okay. Yeah, it's a little bit better, so you can read what's on that page. And reading news items on MacRumors is a good thing, but oh, for heaven's sake. Just go back up there and stay there, please. Are you going to cooperate with me? Okay, I think so. Yeah, it's loading again. All right, we want to go to the forums. Nope. Okay, what it can do, however, is get to the archive sites, such as Macintosh Garden and Macintosh Repository, and there are certainly others, to find various apps or games or whatever it is you're looking for. There's so much stuff archived on those pages. Now it's trying to go to the forums now. Those pages are designed, yay, the forums are up. Although trying to get to a discussion and actually read it would be murder. But anyhow, things like those archive sites I've mentioned are designed to be accessible on older Macs. So yeah, once you manage to get 10.4 down there, you can get to those sites and you can find your applications. All right. So I'm just gonna try to get away from 10.4. Okay. And it closed. Now, 10.4 Bird, maybe I'm just getting used to how slowly this application loads, but it seems like it's a little faster here than some of the other older G4s. And yeah, it has loaded up very, very quickly. It's very easy to configure. Setting up your email addresses, there's a wizard that finds just about everything for you. I usually have to tweak the settings manually, but most of the stuff is just found. And you can easily access your email. Much like on the Sawtooth or on the Gigabit Ethernet, multitasking is simply not a great idea on this machine. So leaving 10.4 Bird open while you're doing other things isn't going to work super well. All right, we'll quit out of that. Your address book. Yep, Grandpa John is still there. iCal is very functional. While it won't get shared calendars from family members and all of that, you can subscribe to calendars. I've subscribed to two: a U.S. holidays calendar and an Episcopal liturgical calendar. Yeah, we got Easter coming up. That's going to be kind of a depressing Easter this year. But iCal, very functional. Yeah, the biggest holdup with iCal is you have to use 10.4 to get to the calendar to subscribe to. Once you do, iTunes. We've seen iTunes. This is, of course, iTunes 6. Since we've installed iLife 6, it's very functional. It plays music. It plays AAC files, the advanced audio codec, with some tweaking and convincing it to do things. You can get to your stored iTunes library and download anything that's up there. So listening to music is an option. I have not done that, of course. As I point out in another video, I'm running out. Yeah, iMovie does work. iDVD will not work on this machine simply because there is no DVD burner, GarageBand, all these things that we've seen. NeoOffice, because basic productivity applications, that's what you would end up doing on this machine primarily. And Neo is slow loading. Just want to see if maybe it'll load up a little bit faster, since some other things have seemed to load a little faster on this machine. And here's our word processing document. No cursor as of yet. And basically what you have to do I don't know if that was a machine or me, probably me on this keyboard, just missing the end. Okay, but it actually, once you get away from the splash screen and it loads up, it's very functional. Okay, this is Office Mac 2004, works perfectly well. Now, this was interesting because just recently in looking at the Sawtooth, I discovered that iWorks 09 just wasn't functional. Now, incidentally, you can skip this template chooser if you want and establish a default template. That's probably most people would do. And here's our word processing document. Oops. Yeah. Pages on the Sawtooth. And this is the same version, Pages 09, just wouldn't work at all. I have no clear idea why it would work on the Cube and not on the Sawtooth. Now, the difference is, of course, I have stressed the Sawtooth somewhat by putting on all of those bootable partitions. I can't imagine why that would have anything to do with it. Could the improved graphics card be making a difference? It might. And I am at some point going to try upgrading the graphics card in the Sawtooth just to see if that in fact is true. All right. 32 megs of VRAM may not seem like much because it isn't much, but it's twice as much as 16. Math whiz here. Okay, and Print Shop works very, very well. It actually seems to be working a little bit better than it was working in the Sawtooth as well. So yeah, the graphics card experiment might be worth checking. All right. Now this machine shipped originally, I believe, with OS 9.0.4 in the year 2000. So let's start it up. I have 9.2.2 and take a look at OS 9. All right, here we are on the Mac OS 9 desktop. I decided not to go through the entire sequence of booting into the OS. You've seen that often enough. Okay, one of the things that I find on these old Macs, particularly these that shipped originally, this one didn't even ship with OS 10 on it. It shipped with OS 9.0.4, I do believe. They run much more quickly and much more smoothly on OS 9. In terms of internet access, it's much more limited. There are pages that ClassZilla simply can't get to. It can get to the ClassZilla page. This is good. All right. However, the email client built in which takes a while to load. Here we go. There's the inbox. That sound indicates that there is an email that has come in, which obviously I am not going to look at. But it does work. I've mentioned the limitation, of course, about sending email. You can only set up, well, you can set up as many SMTP servers as you want, but you don't seem to be able to use them. At some point, I'm going to have to take a good, careful look at prefs.js and see if I can finagle it to use the other SMTP servers. For now, I have just enabled an SMTP server through my earlybanjo.com website. All right. So we can close out of that. But you can certainly check your email. You can reply to it as long as you work your way around that limitation about the SMTP server. And you've got a very functional address book. Well, actually, a very functional HTML editor. Basic, but functional. And an address book that does perfectly fine. And just to see it go somewhere, you've got a website. Oops. Seen this before? You know, with the right website, it loads up very quickly. It's a lot more responsive than 10.4 Fox, given that it is much more limited in terms of the websites that it can go to. Okay, so we'll quit out of that, and it quits very quickly. Yeah, everything's more responsive. All right, Apple works very well. Word 2001, and in fact, the entire Office Mac 2001 works very well. Print Shop actually works about as well as, you know, the version on OS 10, so you can do things there. iTunes, now we've seen iTunes. Okay, now I hadn't actually set this up, So I'm just going to cancel and we're going to get out of iTunes. You can refer to an. No, it showed up here. Okay, you can import audio. It has to be an MP3 format. So if you've got MP3s or can find MP3s or can convert into MP3s, which you'd have to do on another system, you can use iTunes here in OS 9. All right, we'll quit out of that and you can look at one of my other videos to see that. All right. iMovie, same idea. The games, one of the big things is playing games here. Toast Titanium is important. It will mount CD and DVD images just as though you had actually inserted a disc and enable you to do things. Print Shop, that's very necessary because I need to mount the Print Shop disk image before I can make full use out of Print Shop. All right, Stuff It Expander is very handy. All right, so it's a very useful tool. You can do a lot of basic productivity things in OS 9, and it's just way more responsive than OS 10. And you can play those fun old games too. Now, there's one other fun thing that I saw here. If we go to control panels, I finally got After Dark working. All right, we're going to setup. Now, to some people, this will bring back some real memories. Yes, we have here the iconic flying toasters. After Dark set off a real craze in the 1990s for screensavers. And there are so many funny screensavers that come up here. This one people remember particularly fondly. I used After Dark. I actually used it on Windows back in the old Windows days. I think on Win95. It may have been 3.1. I'm not even sure. The problems I had with this, I had installed on one of my OS 9 installations After Dark, this particular version of After Dark. It comes on its own just with the original Starry Night screensaver, which is pretty basic and pretty boring, actually, and wanted flying toasters. So I deleted it, and I tried installing other versions of After Dark, mostly coming from Macintosh Garden. The problem would be that I couldn't start up the system. The only way I could start up the system was to disable the extensions, at which point I had to remove After Dark, and then it would work again. I finally discovered that I could go back to this version of After Dark and just import the other modules, which I have certainly done. So there's a lot of other screensavers, and you can import all sorts of other modules in there, some really cool ones, which can be found on Macintosh Garden. Macintosh Repository may have some as well. All right, so the G4 Cube, what am I going to do with it? Probably not a whole lot. I'll boot it up occasionally. It is kind of fun, but it is also seriously underpowered. Nonetheless, I'm awfully glad that I have it. It's a serious piece of Apple history and a serious piece just of computer design history. The landmark computer, although it was really a design in search of a true use. Now, what's going to come next? I have several projects upcoming. They're or a couple we'll get to. I think I've figured out which one I'm going to showcase first. Boy, I hate that highway rap. And we will. Oh, these things are funny. Conga line of flying toasters. So we'll be back with you with more content real soon. Until that time, be good to other people. Be good to yourselves. And take very, very good and careful care as we work our way through this difficult time. And I can only hope that these videos, for some people at any rate, help pass away some of this time. Until we're back again.